So our topic for today is about probability, which is the addition rule. But before we go on discussing the addition rule, let us first have a brief description of what probability is. So as discussed in the previous topics, probability is the study of randomness and uncertainty. Tama? So now, what is the addition rule? Addition rule is one of the basic rule in probability. We have two, that is addition and multiplication. Multiplication will be discussed next meeting. Okay? Focus muna tayo ngayon kay addition rule. So in addition rule, there are two considerations, which is if your events are mutually exclusive and if they are not mutually exclusive. So mutually exclusive and not mutually are discussed during our previous discussion. So pinakita din natin doon kapag using or demonstrating using Venn diagram. Tama ba? So it is very important for you para maintindihan si addition rule is alam nyo muna yung concept of mutually exclusive and not mutually exclusive events. Okay? Kasi as you can see here, there are difference between the formula you are going to use kapag mutually at kapag hindi mutually. So dapat alam mo kasi if you can figure out kung yung event ba ay mutually or not mutually, so mahihirapan ka to choose what formula are you going to use. Okay, so let me have a quick review of what mutually exclusive and not mutually are using Venn diagram. So let me first draw here a Venn diagram. So let's say you have two events, that is event A and B. If these events has no common outcome, ibig sabihin magkaiba yung kinalabasan ni A, magkaiba yung kinalabasan ni B, this is considered as mutually exclusive events. So kapag ganyan, na wala silang common outcome, ano ang gagamiting formula? You are going to use this one. You just add probability of A and the probability of B. As simple as that. So, i-add mo lang kung ano man yung binigay na probability sa kanilang dalawa, i-add mo lang. But how about if your Venn diagram has an overlap events? Okay, let me show you. What if your event A and event B are overlapped? Ibig sabihin, meron na silang common outcome. Tama? This one. Itong nasa pagitan nila, these are the common outcomes. Parehong meron kay A, meron din kay B. So kapag ganyan na meron na silang common outcome, that is considered not mutually exclusive event. Okay? So kapag naman not mutually, gagamitin mo ng formula ay ito. I-add mo yung probability ni A plus yung probability ni B minus the probability of A and B. Ibig sabihin yung common sa kanilang dalawa. Kasi kapag hindi mo minus, madodoble ng bilang. Okay? Which is wrong. So, dapat ima-minus mo yung common sa kanilang dalawa. But how about if you have a Venn diagram showing this one? Let's say you have event A. Then, you have A prime here, which is the complement of A, meaning lahat ng wala sa bilog, sa loob ng circle natin, those are the outcome of complement of A. Okay? So kapag ganyan, as we can see here in the Venn diagram, you have yung A, yung nasa loob ng circle, and A complement. Kapag pinag-add mo silang dalawa, it will give you 100%. Tama? So we can say that probability of A plus probability of A prime is equal to 1 or is equal to 100%. Okay? So let's jump into some examples so that you would understand it more. So please take note of this formula. You are going to use this. Okay, so let's move on. For the first example, we have what is the probability of a standard dice roll being 2 or 3? So again, balikan natin yung previous topic natin. We have the sample space. Ano yung sample space again? Sample space is the outcomes of your experiment. So if you roll a dice or a die, ano yung mga possible outcomes? So let me give you, for this experiment of rolling a dice, we have sample space. Ano yung mga possible na lumabas? We have 1, o di kaya 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Tama? Those are the possible outcomes. But the question is asking for the probability of being 2 or 3 yung lalabas na doon sa ating experiment. Okay? So this one, if you can still remember the formula of getting the probability of a certain event, we have probability of, let's say, A is equal to favorable outcome. Tama? Then, over total outcome. So kung ilan yung possible na total outcome, yun yung denominator mo. And in this example, we have how many outcomes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have 6 total outcomes. So si 6, yan yung iyong magiging denominator. Okay? So, lagay natin dito. Before we get the probability of getting 2 or 3, let's get first yung probability of getting 2, then probability of getting 3. So, we have probability of 2. Ilan ang favorable outcome na 2 yung lalabas? We only have 2 dito sa sample space. Ibig sabihin, isa lang. We have 1 over 6. How about probability of 3? Ilan ba yung 3 na meron tayo dun sa sample space? We only have 1 also. Tama? Isa lang yung 3. So, numerator or the favorable outcome is also 1. Then, the total outcome is 6. Okay? So, hindi naman nabago kasi yung outcome for rolling a dice. Tama ba? So, ngayon, the question is, this example mutually or not mutually exclusive? What do you think? This example is mutually exclusive. Tama? So magkaiba sila. There is no common outcome. Therefore, kung mutually exclusive, we have here probability of 2 or 3. Probability of 2 or 3 is equal to probability of 2 plus probability of 3. Tama? Since they are mutually exclusive, pag-a-addin lang natin yung probability nilang dalawa. And that give us 1 over 6 plus 1 over 6. That is equal to 2 over 6. Tama ba? But then in engineering data analysis, especially during our quizzes and exam, make sure that your final answer must always be in lowest form. So 2 over 6 still have its lowest form, which is 1 over 3. And 1/3 will be your final answer. Okay? So yung probability pala na 2 or 3 yung lumabas is 1/3. Okay? Nasundan ba? So kung medyo malabo pa, let's have another example. This one. Again, a 6-sided die. So binigay na dito yung sample space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The only difference is that we are given different events. So for event A, ang lumabas daw na outcome is 3, 4, 5, and 6. Samantalang kay event B, ang lumabas na outcome is 1, 4, and 5. Then kay C is 2 lamang yung outcome. Now, the question is, what is the probability of A or B? Ano yung probability na si A or si B yung lalabas? So for letter A, we have, for letter A, si A and B, wag niyo munang pansinin si C ha. Wala muna kunwari si C dito. So kay A and B lang muna tayo mag-focus. Is A and B mutual or not mutual? So tingin nyo, meron bang common outcome o wala? Kay A, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Kay B, 1, 4, and 5. Meron bang pareho? Meron, tama? Si 4 and si 5. Pareho silang meron kay A and B. Therefore, si A and B are not mutually exclusive. Tama ba? So, not mutually or not mutual. We have here probability of A or B is equal to, so kung not mutual, yung meron tayong ima-minus sa dulo. Tama ba? Probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B. Ngayon, alamin muna natin, ano ba ang probability ni A? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 over 6. 4 yung favorable outcome para kay event A, then 6 yung total outcome. Tama? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For B, we have 3 over 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 3 favorable outcome. Then ang total outcomes is still 6. Okay? So we can now proceed on the solution. We have probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B. So, lagyan lang natin ang data. We have 4 over 6 plus 3 over 6 minus, ilan yung common sa kanilang dalawa? Ilan ba ang pareho? We have 4 and we have 5. So, that is, ilan yon? 2. Ibig sabihin, ang common is 2 out of 6 possible outcomes. So we have 4 over 6 plus 3 over 6. That is 7 over 6 minus 2 over 6. That will give us how many? We have 5 over 6. Tama? 5 over 6, wala na siyang lowest form. So yan na yun. Then that is your answer for letter A. Okay? Nagigets ba? Then for letter B, meron ba tayong follow-up question? Ayan, meron. For letter B, we have probability of B and C. So dito kay letter B, kung kanina kinonsider natin si A, ngayon naman ay si, ayan, binura ko pa yung kay B. Si B and C naman ang ating papansinin. So wag muna nating pansinin si A. Dito tayo kay focus, kay B and kay C. Okay po? So for letter B, we have probability of B or C. First question, is that mutual or not mutual? Meron bang common outcome kay event B at event C? Kay event B, we have 1, 4, and 5. Meron bang 1, 4, 5 kay C? Wala. Tama? Kasi 2 lang yung lumabas. Therefore, B and C are mutually exclusive. So, lagay ko na lang dito is mutual. We have probability of B or C. Since mutual, gagawin lang natin probability ni B plus probability ni C. Pag-aadin lang. Tama? Then, lagyan natin ng data. But before that, kunin muna natin ang probability ni B. That is 3 over 6. Then, kay C is 1 over 6. Kasi isa lang naman yung outcome niya, kaya 1 ang numerator, then 6. Kasi 6 yung total outcome. Okay? So, let's put here 3 over 6 plus 1 over 6. That is equal to 3 plus 1 is 4 over 6. Any lowest form? Yes, we have. That is 2 over 3 or 2/3. So 2/3 is your final answer for letter B. Okay? Mas lumilinaw na ba? So kung hindi pa malinaw, let's have another example. So meron pang another example. Let's have here this problem. So sabi dito sa problem, a sample of 4 electronic components is taken from the output of a production line. The probabilities of the various outcomes are calculated to be probability na 0 ang defective is 0.6561. Probability na isa ang defective is 0.2916. Probability of 2 defectives is 0.0486. Probability of tatlo naman yung defective is 0.0036. And kapag 4 naman ang defective, ang probability ay 0.0001. The question is, what is the probability of at least one defective? At least daw merong isang defective. So alin dyan yung merong at least na isang defective? Si 1 merong isa. Si 2 meron din kasi dalawa. Si 4 meron din. Also si 3. Sino lang hindi kasali? Si 0. Kasi sabi dito kay 0, wala daw defective. Tama ba? So gagawin natin is pag-aadin lang natin lahat ng probability. So we have here probability of at least one defective. Since binigay naman na sa atin yung mga probabilities niya in decimal form, so no need to get the probability ng bawat isa. So i-add lang natin, we have probability of 1, probability of 2, plus probability of 3, plus probability of 4. So we have 0.2916 plus 0.0486 plus 0.0036 plus 0.0001. And that is equal to 0.3439. And ganun lang kasimple, that will give you the probability of at least one defective. But then, kung medyo nahahabaan kayo dun sa solution of adding it all or summing it up, meron namang isa. Kung natandaan nyo kanina, diniscuss ko yung idea or principle of having complement. Ibig sabihin yung kabaliktarang outcome. So kung ang sabi, at least miski daw merong isang defective, di ba yung zero defective, wala. Tama? So pwede nating magamit yon. That is complement of at least one defective. Di ba kanina, sabi ko, yung probability ni A plus probability of its complement will give us 1 or 100% na probability. So dito, pwede nating gawing solution, probability of at least one defective, that is 1 minus probability na walang defective. Tama ba? And that is 1 minus 0.6561. So let's compute this. Dapat, ang lalabas na sagot is 0.3439 also. So 1 minus 6561 is equal to 0.3439. Tama? So pareho lang silang dalawa. Okay? Ibig sabihin, maalin dito sa dalawang solution ay pwede nyong gawin. So kung saan kayo mas nadadalian, okay lang. Okay? So, pwedeng i-add nyo lang silang lahat or pwedeng gamitin mo yung idea of having complement. Okay? So, moving on to other example, kasi meron pa ako ditong hinandang ibang example. Now, let's try to use mga cards naman. If one card is drawn from a well-shuffled bridge deck of 52 playing cards, what is the probability that the card is A, a queen, B, a heart, C, a queen, or a heart? Okay, so tatlo yung kailangan nating sagutan. For letter A, ang gusto niya lang malaman is probability of queen. Tama? So para lang magsasagot tayo nung second topic natin, we have favorable. Dito ko lang ilagay sa taas. We have favorable outcome over total outcome. So yan yung ginagamit natin to know the probability of a certain event. Tama? So probability of queen, unahin muna natin yung total outcome. So sabi dito, well-shuffled bridge deck of 52 playing cards. Ibig sabihin, ilan yung total cards na meron tayo? We have 52. Tama? Now let's go on solving for the favorable outcome. Ilang queen meron sa baraha? Ilang queen? We only have 4. Tama? Queen of hearts, queen of flowers, queen of diamond, and queen of spade. So we have 4 over 52. Again, kailangan naka-lowest form. 4 over 52 is also equal to 1 over 13. Then 1 over 13 will be your final answer. Okay? How about letter B? Probability of heart. Heart naman ang gustong malaman. Nagbago ba yung total number of cards? Hindi naman, tama? 52 pa rin. So gagamitin natin for the total outcome or denominator is still 52. How many hearts are there in the cards? Ilang heart ba ang meron tayo? We have 13. Tama? Kasi from 1 to 10, then meron pa tayo 1 to 10, so 10 na yon. Then meron pa tayong queen, king, at jack. So plus 3 pa, we have 13. Eh di ba bawat number sa baraha merong tig-iisang shape. So we have 13 over 52, or in lowest form again, kailangan naka-lowest form. That is also equal to 1/4. So 1/4 will be the probability of a heart. How about letter C? Kay letter C, probability of queen or heart. Si queen or heart, so si queen at saka heart ba is mutual or not mutual? Kasi mahalagang malaman natin yon. Kasi di ba magkaiba yung formula. Queen and heart, getting the probability of queen or heart that is, again, mutual or not mutual. That is not mutual. So kung not mutual siya, note ko na lang dito sa taas, we have not mutual. So kung not mutual siya, ang gagamitin nating formula is yung probability of getting a queen. Initial na lang ilagay ko ha. Plus probability of heart minus probability of getting queen and heart. Tama ba? Kasi sabi nyo kanina, or we have here, queen and heart is not mutual. So mayroong minus. So ilan ba ang probability ni queen? We have 1 over 13. Plus, ilan ang probability ni heart? 1 over 4 or 1/4. Now, ilan yung probability of getting queen of hearts? Ilan yung Queen of Hearts sa baraha? Isa lang yon, tama? Ilan yung baraha? 52. So we have 1/52. And that is equal to 4/13. And naka-lowest form na to. So this is your answer for letter C. Okay? So dapat medyo familiar din kayo. So dapat medyo familiar din tayo doon sa kung ano ba yung mga meron sa baraha natin. Okay? Kasi kadalasan si coins, si dice, and si cards yung ginagamit palagi to illustrate kapag mga probabilities. Okay? So moving on to another example, this one. What is the probability of a standard dice roll being even or prime? Again, we are going to use a dice in our experiment. So if it is a die, the sample space will be, I'm giving the sample space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the total outcomes. Okay? Ang question is probability of even or prime. So mahalaga alam natin ano ba yung even at ano yung prime. So probability of even, we have, ilan ba yung mga even numbers natin? Ayan. Wait lang, dito muna tayo. Probability of even is 3/6. Bakit 3/6? Ano yung mga even numbers natin dito sa outcomes? We have 2, 4, and 6, di ba? Those are even numbers. Kaya tatlo yung ating favorable outcome. How about probability of prime? So prime is different from odd kasi kadalasan even at odd yung magkasama. So again, si prime ay bukod kay odd. So kay prime, we have, ano ba yung mga prime numbers natin? We have 1, 3, huwag ka munang lumipat. We have 1, 3, and 5, and 2. Okay? Do you agree dito sa sinulat kong outcome? We have prime numbers of 1, 3, 5, and 2. Do you think? Kasi sabi, si prime daw is divisible by 1 and itself. Okay? Ang factors lang dapat kapag prime numbers ay 1 at saka yung so, di ba, kapag 1, 3, 5, ang mga factors lang yan is 1 at saka yung sarili niya. Let's say for 1, we have 1 times 1. For 3, we have For 3, we have 3 times 1. For 5, 5 times 1. For 2, 2 times 1. Tama? But then, di ba si 1 is 1 times 1? Pero, since, or kahit pa sabihin natin na ang factor niya is 1 and itself, si 1 po ay hindi kasama sa prime number. Okay? Kasi ang sabi, meron namang kasunod yung kay prime number na definition. Sabi niya, the factors must be distinct factor. Ibig sabihin, magkaibang number dapat. Eh di ba kapag 1 times 1, magkapareho sila. So si 1 ay hindi natin sinasama sa prime number. Okay, so we only have, lipat ko lang si 2, kaya ako binura. We have 2, 3, and 5 as our prime numbers. And that is 1, 2, 3. Again, 3 favorable outcome out of 6 total outcomes. So the question is probability of getting even or prime. As we can see dito sa numbers na nilagay natin kanina, they have common outcome, that is number 2. Tama ba? Pareho silang may 2 dun sa mga outcomes. Therefore, kung merong parehong outcome na lumabas, that is not mutual. Not mutually exclusive event. Kapag not mutually, meron kang ima-minus sa dulo. Tama ba? So we have probability of even. Uy, mamaya ka naman lumipat. Probability of even plus probability of prime minus probability of even and prime. So, ang probability ni even na na-solve natin is 3/6. Kay prime ay also 3/6. Then, ano yung parehong outcome sa kanila? Ilan yung probability? We only have 2 as the equal outcome. So, 1/6. So, 1/6. And that is 3 plus 3 is 6 minus 1 is 5/6. Meaning, ang probability that you can get an even number or prime number in rolling a dice is 5/6. Okay? And for the last example on this topic, we have 8 green apple, 9 green tomato, 5 red apple, and 7 red tomato. First question, what is the probability of getting an apple? It can either green or red. B, what is the probability of getting a red tomato? So, any red tomato, pwedeng apple, pwedeng red fruit, sorry. Pwedeng apple, pwedeng tomato. What is the probability of getting a red apple? And what is the probability of getting an apple or a red fruit? Sagutan natin isa-isa syempre. For letter A muna, probability of getting an apple. So, probability of apple, that is, ilan yung apple na pwede nating makuha? We have 8 na green apple, then 5 na red apple. So we have 8 plus 5. But then, ilan yung denominator? Ilan ba yung mga possible outcome? We have 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 7. And that is 8 plus 9 is 17 plus 5, 22 plus 7 is 20. So we have 29 total outcomes. Okay, so these are your total outcomes. Ibig sabihin, kung ito yung total outcomes, ito yung nasa denominator. So we have 8/29 plus 5/29. And that gives us 8 plus 5 is 13/29. And that is your answer for letter A. How about letter B? For letter B, probability of getting red fruit naman. So, yung red fruit na yon, pwedeng apple, pwedeng tomato, basta kulay red. So, we have, again, 29 ang denominator. Ilan ang red na apple natin? We have 5. Ilan ang red na tomato? 7. So, we have 5 for apple and 7 for tomato. 5 plus 7 is 12/29. And that is your answer for letter B. How about letter C? Letter C is asking us for the probability of red apple. So, red apple lamang ang gusto niyang malaman. So, gagawin lang natin, ilan ba ang red apple? We have 5, tama? Meron pa bang ibang red apple bukod dun sa 5? Wala na. So, we have 5/29. Your answer for letter C. How about letter D? Kay letter D, probability of getting an apple or red fruit. Is the event of getting apple and red fruit mutual or not mutual? Meron bang red apple? Meron. Ibig sabihin, this is not mutual. So kung not mutual siya, we have probability of apple plus probability of red fruit minus probability of red apple. Tama ba? Then, ilan ba yung probability of apple natin? We have 13 over 29 plus red fruit is 12 over 29 minus ilan ang red apple? 5 over 29. And that gives us 13 plus 12 minus 5 is 20 over 29. And that is the probability of getting an apple or a red fruit. Okay. And that concludes our discussion for the addition rule of probability.